Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I'm Naomi, your host, and I'm so excited to take you on a journey to the beautiful countryside of Thailand. Their connection to nature, their traditions, and their unique ways of living have so much to teach us. When I first arrived here, I was overwhelmed by the natural beauty, the scent of fresh earth, the gentle rustle of the trees, and the warm smiles of the people. I can't wait to share with you all the incredible experiences I had and the amazing women I met along the way. My journey to the countryside began at Bangkok Airport, bustling with people and the scent of adventure in the air. I boarded a train that slowly moved away from the urban chaos, the view outside changing from concrete towers to endless green fields. The further we traveled, the clearer the sky became, as if the city dust was being left behind, and I could feel my spirit lightening. After a long ride, I transferred to a small taxi that bumped along the dirt roads, the scent of fresh earth and wildflowers flowing in through the open windows. Finally, I arrived in a quaint, rural town, seemingly untouched by time, where nature embraced every corner of life. Here, I met young women who live their lives with nature, women who hike through the lush forests, tend to small farms, and cherish the simple joys of everyday life. One of the women, Sufansa, caught my eye immediately. She had a gentle, serene presence, her skin sun-kissed from days spent outdoors. Her long black hair flowed down her back, glistening in the sunlight as if it were spun silk. Her beauty was not the kind that demanded attention, but rather the kind that revealed itself slowly, in the small details. The way her eyes softened when she looked at the trees, the quiet determination in her posture, the natural grace in her every movement. Her smile was warm and welcoming, the kind that made you feel at home even in an unfamiliar place. She wore a loose, flowing dress that seemed to mirror the gentle breeze, and her bare feet moved with a quiet grace, as if she was one with the earth beneath her. There was a scent about her, subtle and earthy, like sun-warmed grass mixed with the faint sweetness of wildflowers. It wasn't a perfume but rather a fragrance that seemed to emanate from her very being, something that spoke of long days spent in the fields, under the open sky. Sufansa invited me to join her on a trek through the nearby forest. As we walked, I noticed the scent of her, a mix of earth, sun, and a hint of jasmine, a fragrance so natural it felt like it belonged to the forest itself. The forest was alive, the scent of damp earth mixed with the crisp freshness of leaves, birds calling from above, and the soft ground giving way underfoot. As we walked, Sufansa spoke about her deep connection to the forest, how it provided her with peace and strength. Her voice was calm, almost like a gentle stream flowing through the woods, and I could feel the sincerity in her words. As she spoke, I couldn't help but contrast her life with my own in Tokyo. The forest seemed to breathe around us, while back home, my days were filled with the hum of air conditioners and the crowded rush of people. Sufansa's life was woven into the rhythm of nature, each day shaped by the sun, the rain, the growth of plants. In Tokyo, my days often felt detached, driven by schedules and deadlines, a constant race against time. As we trekked deeper, Sufansa pointed out herbs and flowers, explaining their traditional uses, how certain leaves could soothe a fever, or how a flower's scent could bring calmness. It struck me how this knowledge was passed down through generations, part of a living history that connected her to her ancestors. In Tokyo, I rarely thought about the origins of the medicines I took, or the traditions behind the food I ate. Sufansa's way of life felt timeless, deeply rooted in tradition, while mine often felt like it was rushing forward, always reaching for something just out of grasp. Her words resonated with me, as I felt the tranquility of the forest seeping into my own heart, each step grounding me further in this beautiful place. The rustling leaves, the warmth of the sun filtering through the canopy, and Sufansa's presence beside me made everything feel deeply connected. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, bathing the room in a soft golden glow. I took a deep breath, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers from the garden below. The quiet of the countryside was a stark contrast to the constant noise of Tokyo. As I got ready, I could hear the faint sounds of birds chirping and the distant hum of a motorbike. I stepped out onto the balcony, feeling the gentle warmth of the morning sun on my skin. Below, I could see a few villagers already beginning their day, moving with a leisurely pace that seemed to belong to another time. After a simple breakfast of fresh fruit and tea, I decided to take a walk through the village before meeting Sufansa. The dirt paths were lined with small houses, each with its own garden bursting with colorful flowers and herbs. I passed by an elderly woman who greeted me with a warm smile, her hands busy weaving a basket. The simplicity of life here was calming, a reminder of the things that truly mattered. As I approached the meeting spot, I saw Sufansa waiting, her figure framed by the greenery of the forest behind her. She waved to me, her smile as bright as the morning sun, and I felt a sense of excitement for the day ahead. Sufansa invites me to the beach today, her eyes sparkling with excitement. As I follow her and her friends down to the shore, I can't help but notice how different this world feels compared to my life in Tokyo. Here, everything is open and free. There's no rush, no pressure to be anywhere. In Tokyo, my weekends are filled with errands and deadlines, always racing against the clock. The beach stretches out before us, the sand soft and warm beneath my feet, and the waves gently lap at the shore. Sufansa and her friends seem completely at ease here, as if they belong to the sea and sky. Their laughter mixes with the sound of the waves, creating a melody that feels timeless. Sufansa is wading into the water now, her long black hair flowing behind her like silk, catching the light of the sun. There's something serene about her movements, like she's one with the ocean. Her friends follow, their bodies tanned and glistening in the sunlight, their smiles wide and carefree. As I watch them, I realize how different they are from the women I know in Tokyo. There's a natural beauty to them, unpolished, yet deeply connected to the world around them. In Tokyo, beauty often feels like something to be curated, controlled. But here it flows effortlessly, as natural as the breeze or the waves. Sufansa catches a wave and for a moment she is suspended between the sea and the sky, her body perfectly in sync with the rhythm of the ocean. Her friends cheer her on from the shore, their voices blending with the sound of the sea. I feel a deep sense of peace here, something I rarely experience in the fast-paced life of Tokyo. After a while, we all gather under the shade of a large tree, its branches casting a cool shadow over the sand. Sufansa's friends are spreading out snacks, fresh fruits, sticky rice wrapped in banana leaves. The scent of ripe mangoes mixes with the salty sea air, creating a perfect harmony of sweetness and freshness. We're eating, laughing, and sharing stories about our lives. The sound of the waves gently crashing in the background. Sufansa lies back on the sand, her eyes closed, her breathing in sync with the steady rhythm of the waves. Her friends continue talking, their voices soft and soothing, blending with the natural sounds around us. The day is winding down, and I'm realizing just how far removed this is from the life I know in Tokyo. As the sun begins to set, casting shades of pink and gold across the sky, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for this moment. This is a day I will carry with me long after I return to the city. Spending time with Sufansa and her friends, I start to notice the deep bond they share, not just with each other, but with the land and sea that surround them. Each of them has their own unique personality, yet there's an unspoken understanding between them that comes from a shared history, a life lived close to nature. Sufansa, with her quiet strength and gentle demeanor, feels like the center of their group. She doesn't need to say much. Her presence alone seems to ground them, like the steady rhythm of the waves. One of her friends, Pim, has a completely different energy. Pim is lively and animated, always laughing, her hair shining like golden threads in the sunlight. There's a playful glint in her eyes, and her laughter fills the air, mixing with the sound of the sea. As we talk, Pim tells me about her life by the sea, how she grew up collecting shells and running barefoot along the shore. Her skin has the warm glow of someone who has spent years in the sun, and her movements are quick and graceful, like a bird in flight. In contrast, another friend, Neri, is quieter, more introspective. Neri has a calm, almost mysterious presence, and her dark eyes seem to see right through you, as if she's always thinking about something deeper. She doesn't speak much, but when she does, her words are thoughtful, carrying a weight that makes you want to listen. As we sit there, I reflect on how different these women are from my friends in Tokyo. In the city, life is fast, schedules are tight, and friendships often feel like fleeting moments between tasks. Here, there's a sense of permanence, a deep-rooted connection that transcends time. As the day progresses, I find myself drawn into their world, where time seems to move at a different pace, guided by the rhythm of the waves and the warmth of the sun. I start to realize that perhaps it's not just the environment that's different, but the way these women view life itself. Their beauty isn't something that's curated or controlled. It's something that flows naturally from within, shaped by the land and sea that surrounds them. As the sun begins to set, casting a soft golden light over everything, I find myself wondering what my life would be like if I could live as freely as they do. Sitting on the warm sand, I start to feel every inch of my body with a newfound awareness. My legs, strong and toned from years of running, stretch out in front of me, their muscles firm yet pliable. I can feel the gentle pressure of the sand against my calves, grounding me, reminding me of the strength these legs have carried me through. My feet, bare and slightly roughened from the day's walking, sink into the sand, their texture rough but comforting, as if they are becoming one with the earth beneath. I look at my arms, tracing the lines of my muscles with my fingers. They are lean, the product of countless yoga sessions, and I can feel the smoothness of my skin warm under the sun. My hands, once soft and delicate, have grown stronger over time, yet their touch is still gentle as they rest on my thighs. My stomach, flat and firm, rises and falls with every deep breath, each inhale and exhale grounding me further in this moment. I touch my waist, the results of years of yoga and running, and yet there's a softness there too, a reminder of balance between strength and gentleness. My shoulders, usually stiff from the stress of city life, now feel loose, the tension gradually releasing as the warm breeze brushes over them. I feel the gentle movement of my chest, not only with my breath but also with my heartbeat, steady and calming. My collarbone catches the fading light, and I trace its curve with my fingers, noticing the delicate yet defined line, a quiet symbol of my femininity. As I run my hands over my face, I can feel the smoothness of my skin mixed with the slight roughness from the day's sun and wind, a reminder of the elements that have touched me today. My hair, slightly tangled from the breeze, falls over my shoulders, catching the scent of the ocean as it moves with the wind. I realize that my body, so often controlled and confined by the rigid demands of city life, feels free here, open, and in sync with the world around me. There's a deep connection I feel with my body now, as if for the first time in a long time, I'm truly listening to it, not just moving through the motions of daily life. As I sit there, the warmth of the sand beneath me, I feel a shift in my thoughts, a quiet turning inward. In Tokyo, my mind is always racing, thinking about the next meeting, the next deadline, the constant rush of the city pressing on me from all sides. But here, surrounded by the sound of the waves and the softness of the breeze, my thoughts feel slower, more deliberate. I watch Sufanza and her friends, laughing easily, their faces glowing with happiness, and I realize how different they are from me. They seem so at peace, so present in this moment, while my mind is often elsewhere, caught up in plans, worries, and endless to-do lists. I think about how much of my life in Tokyo is driven by achievement, by the need to succeed and be recognized. Here, with these women, I see something different. Life is simpler, more grounded. Their joy doesn't come from external validation, but from a deep connection to the land, to the sea, to each other. Sufanza's smile is soft and serene not because she's accomplished something, but because she's fully alive in this moment. In contrast, my own happiness often feels tied to what I achieve, to what I can show to the world. I wonder if I've been missing out on something important, this ability to just be, without constantly reaching for something more. As I breathe in the salty air, I feel a release, a letting go of the need to always be moving forward. For the first time in a long time, I'm not thinking about what comes next. I'm simply here, in this moment, and that's enough. As the sun dips lower, casting a golden hue across the water, I begin to reflect more deeply on the contrasts between my life and the women here. In Tokyo, everything feels like a race, rushing from one task to the next, always thinking ahead, always planning. But here, time seems to move differently. The women I've met live in a rhythm that feels connected to something more elemental, something natural and enduring. They wake with the sun, work with their hands, and end the day with laughter and conversation. I've often wondered what it would be like to live without the constant pressure of deadlines, of expectations, of striving for more. Now, sitting here, I start to see a different possibility, one where life isn't defined by achievement, but by presence. Sufansa embodies this for me. She lives fully in each moment, her joy coming not from what she accomplishes, but from the simple act of being. I think about the contrast between her world and mine. In Tokyo, I measure my success by how much I can get done in a day, by how far I've climbed the ladder, by how much recognition I receive. But here, success seems to be measured in smaller, quieter ways, by how connected you are to the world around you, by the strength of your relationships, by the peace you carry within yourself. It's a perspective I hadn't considered before, but one that feels important now. As I watch the sun sink lower, casting long shadows across the sand, I feel something inside me shift. A part of me wants to hold on to this feeling, this quiet sense of peace that's beginning to take root. I don't want to return to the constant rush, to the noise and the pressure that fills my days in Tokyo. But I know that I must. Still, I wonder if there's a way to carry this feeling with me, to bring a piece of this place, this mindset, back with me when I go. As I breathe in the salty air one last time, I make a promise to myself to remember this moment, to let it guide me, even when I'm back in the chaos of the city. The peace I've found here in Thailand lingers with me as I walk through the streets toward the temple. It's late in the afternoon, and the light is starting to soften, casting a golden glow over everything. I've decided to visit the temple alone today, hoping to hold on to the stillness I felt by the beach and to understand more about the serenity the local women seem to carry with them. As I enter the temple grounds, the transition from the bustling streets to this sacred space is immediate and profound. The air here feels cooler, with the scent of incense wafting gently through the air, mingling with the faint rustle of trees in the breeze. I find myself slowing down, my mind gradually quieting as I walk along the stone path. Ahead I see a few women kneeling in front of the large golden Buddha statue, their heads bowed in prayer. Their postures are still, calm, almost as if time has slowed for them. I take a seat on one of the stone benches, watching them from a respectful distance. There's something about their presence that draws me in. They're dressed modestly, their clothes flowing softly around them, blending into the peaceful surroundings. One woman, her hands clasped together in front of her, raises her head slightly, her eyes closed as she whispers a quiet prayer. Her face is serene, almost illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. I wonder what she's praying for, maybe gratitude for her family, for her health, for the day she's lived. Her expression, however, is free from worry, free from the lines of stress and tension that so often cross my own face. I think back to my own life, the constant race to achieve, the never-ending list of goals, and I realize how different their approach to life is. These women, they carry a calmness that I envy, a quiet contentment that seems to come from their deep connection to something beyond the material world. It's as if their sense of self isn't defined by what they accomplish, but by how they exist within the world around them. I find myself wondering, have I been looking for fulfillment in all the wrong places? These women, with their gentle smiles and calm presence, seem to have found something I've been missing. I watch as another woman approaches the altar, a small bouquet of flowers in her hands. She places the flowers gently at the base of the Buddha statue, her movements slow and deliberate. There's a reverence in the way she moves, a quiet respect for the act of giving, for the moment itself. I think about the way I move through life, often rushing, always thinking about the next task, rarely pausing to just be. These women, they've mastered the art of being present, of finding peace in the simplest of acts. I close my eyes for a moment, breathing in the cool air, the scent of incense, the quiet murmurs of prayer around me. I may not fully understand the depth of their faith, but I feel a sense of peace here, one that has been missing from my life for far too long. As the sun dips lower and the temple begins to empty, I make my way to the altar, placing my own small offering beside the others. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. After leaving the temple, the sense of calm I've been holding on to still lingers, and I decide to find a place to eat. I find a small, charming restaurant tucked away from the busier streets. The outside is adorned with soft lantern light, casting a welcoming glow that feels intimate. As I step inside, the air is cool, a welcome change from the warmth outside. There are only a few tables occupied, and the quiet hum of conversation mixes with the soft clink of dishes. I choose a table near the window and take a seat, my eyes drifting around the room. A young waitress approaches, her steps light, almost gliding as she moves across the wooden floor. Her face is open and friendly, framed by long, dark hair that's neatly tied back, though a few strands have escaped, gently framing her cheeks. She wears a simple uniform, a white blouse, and a traditional Thai-style apron, its bright colors contrasting against her smooth, sun-kissed skin. Her smile is warm, but there's also a calmness in her eyes, as if she carries with her a sense of peace that radiates outward. There's a grace in the way she moves, her hands delicate but assured, as she places a menu in front of me. "Hello, can I take your order?" she asks, her voice light and melodic, yet professional. I smile and respond, "Yes, I'll have the pad thai and a cold drink, please." She jots down the order swiftly, her pen moving with practiced ease. As she finishes, she pauses for a moment, her head tilting slightly as she asks, "Where are you from?" Her expression is genuinely curious, her eyes bright with interest. "I'm from Tokyo," I say, traveling alone and trying to learn more about Thailand. She laughs softly, a sweet sound that feels completely unforced. "That's great. Thailand is very different from Japan, right?" I nod. "Yes, very different, but I like it. People here seem more at ease, like they're not always in a rush." Her eyes soften with understanding. "Life here is slower. We enjoy things as they come. It's nice, right?" I smile and nod again. "Yes, it really is." She smiles one last time before turning and walking back toward the kitchen, her movements fluid and unhurried, yet efficient. As I watch her leave, I can't help but reflect on how different her demeanor is compared to what I'm used to in Tokyo. There's no tension in her movements, no sense of urgency or stress, even though she's clearly busy. In Tokyo, I'm used to seeing servers rushing from table to table, their faces set with determination, trying to keep up with the fast pace of city life. But here, there's a slower, more deliberate pace, and yet the work still gets done efficiently, with care and attention. The waitress, with her calm presence and gentle movements, embodies this approach. There's no rush, but there's purpose in everything she does. I glance around the room again, watching the other women working. Each of them moves with the same grace, their faces calm, their actions precise but not hurried. I wonder if there's something about the way these women live that allows them to approach work with such a sense of calm. Perhaps it's their connection to their surroundings, to their community, or maybe it's just the slower pace of life here in general. Whatever it is, it's something I can't help but admire. As I take my first bite of the pad thai, I think about how much I've learned from simply observing the way these women work and live. There's a balance here, a balance between work and life, between effort and ease, that I rarely see in my own world. I find myself wondering if I can take some of that balance back with me, if I can learn to approach my own life with the same calm purpose these women seem to carry with them. After finishing my meal at the restaurant, I make my way back to the hotel, my mind still lingering on the women I've observed today. There's a grace and calmness in the way they move, work, and exist that stands in such contrast to the tension I often carry in my own body. As I step into my hotel room, the quietness envelops me, offering a moment of respite from the day. I head to the bathroom, the soft light from the vanity reflecting off the cool, tiled walls. Turning on the shower, I let the water heat up as I begin to undress, peeling off the layers that have clung to me throughout the day. As I step into the shower, the warm water cascades over me, immediately washing away the heat and dust of the city. I close my eyes, letting the water run down my skin, feeling each droplet as it slides over my shoulders and back. In the quiet of the shower, I find myself thinking about the women I've seen today, the waitresses, the women praying at the temple, the workers at the restaurant. Their bodies, like mine, are shaped by life, but there's something different about the way they carry themselves. I run my hands over my arms, feeling the firmness of muscles that have been built through years of running, yoga, and discipline. My body is strong, but it feels like it's always bracing itself, always preparing for the next challenge, the next goal. The women here, on the other hand, seem to move with a natural fluidity, as if they are in sync with their surroundings, not fighting against them. I look down at my stomach, flat and toned, and I think about how much effort I've put into maintaining this shape. There's a tension in my muscles, a constant reminder of the discipline I've imposed on myself. Yoga sessions, runs, careful eating. But is this tension something I want to carry with me forever? The women I've met here, they have strength too, but it's a different kind. It's a strength that comes from living in harmony with their world, not from fighting against it. Their bodies are soft but strong, their movements effortless but purposeful. I think about how my own body often feels like a battleground. Each workout, each meal, each decision carefully calculated to achieve a certain goal. But these women, their bodies reflect a different relationship with the world. They don't seem to be pushing or pulling, just being. As I let the water wash over me, I wonder what it would be like to live with that kind of ease, to let go of the constant need to control, to perfect. I breathe deeply, inhaling the steam and the quiet. For the first time in a while, I try to release the tension in my body, letting the water carry away not just the day's heat, but the years of strain I've held on to. As I step out of the shower, wrapping a towel around myself, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the mirror. The same body, the same face, but something feels different. I'm beginning to see my body not as something to perfect, but as something to live in, to move with, to accept as part of the flow of life. And as I stand there, I make a promise to myself not to change, but to ease into my body, to let it guide me rather than control it. Just like the women I've watched here, effortless, strong, and present in the world around them. After stepping out of the shower, the warmth of the water still clinging to my skin, I feel a sense of release that I haven't experienced in a long time. The room is dimly lit, with only the soft glow of the bedside lamp casting gentle shadows across the walls. I slip into bed, the cool sheets welcoming my tired body as I settle in, feeling the comfort of the soft mattress beneath me. As I lie there, I find myself instinctively running my hands over my legs, starting to massage the muscles that have carried me through the day. My fingers press gently into my calves, feeling the tightness melt away as I work in slow, deliberate circles. I think about how much tension I usually hold in my body, especially in my legs and shoulders. Tension that builds up from the constant rush of life in Tokyo. But tonight, that tension is slowly releasing. As I continue massaging my thighs, my hands glide over the firm muscles, shaped by years of running and exercise. But tonight, they don't feel as rigid, as if the hardness is softening, allowing me to truly connect with my body. I move my hands up to my abdomen, feeling the rise and fall of my breath, steady and calm. This body, which I've worked so hard to maintain, feels different tonight. It's no longer something I need to control, to perfect. It's simply a part of me, and for the first time, I'm beginning to appreciate it for what it is. My hands move up to my shoulders, where I always carry the most tension. I press gently into the muscles, feeling the knots that have formed from years of stress, of pushing myself too hard. As I massage my shoulders, I breathe deeply, trying to release the pressure that has built up, not just physically, but mentally. It's not easy, letting go of years of habits, of expectations I've placed on myself. But in this moment, I feel the weight lifting, even if only slightly. I close my eyes, continuing the gentle movements, allowing my body to guide me. As my hands move to my neck, I think about how much my body has carried me through, not just physically, but emotionally. The stress, the pressure, the endless to-do lists, all of it has been held here, in this body. But now, as I let my fingers trace the curve of my neck, I feel a softness there, a release I haven't felt in years. I breathe deeply again, inhaling the quiet of the room, and with each breath, I feel my mind settling. The thoughts that usually race through my mind, about work, about responsibilities, begin to fade, replaced by a sense of peace. As I continue to massage my body, I feel not just the physical tension releasing, but something deeper, something emotional, something mental. The women I've met here in Thailand seem to carry this peace with them, this effortless grace, that I'm only just beginning to understand. Maybe it's not something you achieve through effort, but something you allow yourself to feel when you stop pushing so hard. As I drift off to sleep, my hands finally resting, I make a promise to myself to be kinder to my body, to listen to it, to appreciate it not just for what it can do, but for the strength it holds, quietly and without demand. For the first time in a long time, I feel truly at peace, both in my body and in my mind.